This is Boats of the Thousand Islands, the show about every kind of watercraft on the Great St. Lawrence River. Your hosts are Robbie and Terry, both 15. Every week they break it down so you actually get it.
The show about every kind of watercraft on the Great St. Lawrence River. I'm Terry.
And I'm Robbie, and today we're talking about the cabin cruiser, basically a floating bedroom with a steering wheel.
Which honestly sounds like the best invention ever made by someone who refused to stop their vacation.
The cabin cruiser is any motorboat big enough to have a cabin below deck where you can sleep, cook, and hide from your family.
Wait, hide from your family on a boat? There's nowhere to go.
Exactly. That's the twist. You chose this.
So when did people start thinking, hey, let's just live on the river for a week?
The idea really took off in the early 1900s when gasoline engines became reliable enough to replace steam, and suddenly middle-class families could afford a motorboat with a roof.
Before that, anything with a cabin was basically a yacht owned by someone with a name like Cornelius.
Hard to argue. The St. Lawrence has been a cabin cruiser paradise since at least the 1920s, when the Thousand Islands became a summer playground.
And if you look out here on a July weekend, you'll see dozens of them anchored in the cuts between islands, just sitting in the sun.
A typical cabin cruiser on the river today runs somewhere between 22 and 40 feet long, with a sleeping berth, a tiny kitchen called a galley, and a head, which is boat talk for bathroom.
Very important vocabulary. Do not call it the bathroom. You will be judged.
The engines are usually inboard or stern drive, meaning the motor is tucked inside the hull, and cruising speed is somewhere around 20 to 25 miles per hour.
Which feels fast until a jet ski blows past you doing 60.
The jet ski is not invited to this conversation.
So what actually makes a cabin cruiser different from, say, a houseboat?
A houseboat is basically a house that happens to float. It's mostly stationary. A cabin cruiser is meant to move, to travel, to explore new anchorages every morning.
That's the dream right there. Wake up, unhook, go somewhere new for lunch.
The St. Lawrence River is genuinely perfect for this because you've got about 1,800 islands between Kingston and Brockville alone, each one a potential overnight spot.
1,800. I keep forgetting the number is actually that wild.
Some cruisers do the whole river loop, up the Rideau Canal across Lake Ontario, back through the Seaway. That can take weeks.
And you're sleeping in a bunk the size of a large shelf the whole time.
Cozy is one word for it.
What's another word?
Committed.
What does a cabin cruiser actually cost? Because this sounds like rich person stuff.
It ranges hugely. A used 1980s model might run you $15,000 to $30,000, while a new 40-footer from a big manufacturer could be $200,000 or more.
So anywhere from I saved up for years to I could have bought a house.
And then you still have to pay marina fees, fuel, insurance, and maintenance. The rule of thumb is budget about 10% of the boat's value per year just to keep it running.
10% every year, so the boat is basically a subscription.
The most expensive subscription that also smells like diesel.
And yet people love these things. You see the same families out here every summer for decades.
There's a real community on the water. People raft up together, share meals across the gunwales, wave at strangers like they're old friends.
The Thousand Islands community specifically has these beautiful old wooden cabin cruisers from the 1940s and 50s that owners have restored by hand.
Mahogany hulls, brass fittings, engines that thump like a heartbeat. They turn heads at every marina.
I would absolutely choose a vintage wooden cruiser over a fiberglass one. That is not even a debate.
It becomes a debate when the wooden one needs caulking every spring and the fiberglass one just doesn't.
Okay, practicality noted, romance ignored.
Most modern cabin cruisers are fiberglass, which is lighter, cheaper to maintain, and can handle the chop the river throws at you when the freighters go past.
Those freighter wakes are no joke. You're just sitting there eating a sandwich and suddenly the ocean arrives.
The St. Lawrence Seaway sees something like 40 to 50 million tons of cargo pass through every year, so those big ships are a constant presence.
And the cabin cruiser people just coexist with them, which takes some nerve.
You learn fast. You hear the horn, you point your bow into the wake, and you hold on to your sandwich.
That should be on a bumper sticker or, I guess, a stern sticker.
The stern sticker market is wide open, Terry. Real opportunity there.
So, if someone wanted to start cabin cruising on the St. Lawrence, what would you tell them?
Take a boating safety course first. In Ontario and New York State, it's actually required to operate a motorboat legally. Then rent before you buy and get a feel for the river.
The river is different from a lake, the current, the shipping channel, the weather that comes out of nowhere.
Respect the water, and the water will let you have a genuinely wonderful time on it.
That's almost philosophical, Robbie.
The cabin cruiser does things to a person.
All right, cabin cruisers, floating bedroom, floating kitchen, floating community, and apparently floating philosophy seminar.
All in a fiberglass shell somewhere between 22 and 40 feet, anchored between two of 1,800 islands with a sunset that costs nothing extra.
That last part is the real selling point.
It really is. Thanks for cruising with us today. See you next week on Boats of the Thousand Islands.